Hey, how are you? It's good to see you again. This is Michael Williams, and I want to ask you a question. Has there ever been a time when you needed to say your name and you couldn't? You needed to introduce yourself and it just wouldn't come out. Or you were in a meeting and you wanted to interject, wouldn't come out. Or perhaps answering the phone, couldn't say anything. Has that ever happened to you? Well, this happens to people who are not just severe stutterers, but it happens to people who are what we call, who stutter situationally. So what's a situational stutter? Situational stutter, or a person who stutters situationally, is someone who doesn't stutter 100% of the time, which is most people actually, but it's someone who basically only stutters in certain situations, certain times, or perhaps around certain people. And sometimes people who stutter situationally are doctors, they're lawyers, they're teachers, professors, preachers, right? So when they're doing their job, they're very confident and they're able to speak fluently. But then in some other situations, perhaps on the phone or around family or social situations, they have a hard time getting out what they want to say. Do you know anyone like this? Does this fit you? Does this fit your situation? Well, if it does, what I'm about to do is to start a series of webinars and videos that deal with something that I call proactive speaking. And I'll talk to you a lot more about that a little later in another video. But what I want to do today is to give you something absolutely free. And what this is it's called a 15-minute drill for speech automaticity. A 15-minute drill for speech automaticity. So let's talk about what this is and how it can help you. Well, there are certain things that we know we have to say, sometimes on a regular basis or periodically. One of those things might be our name, right? Or our phone number, or our email address, or there might be certain words that you use in your profession, and so you have to repeat these words. You have to say these words. So what we do is we create a very specific drill that you use to create a new memory, a more positive, successful memory of you saying these words. What are you talking about, Michael? Well, for some reason, you have created a memory of you not being able to say these words. So if it's your name, and every time you get ready to say your name, there's a block. You can't get the air out. You can't get the words out, right? So there's a block. Or whenever you need to say your phone number, or whenever you need to say your email, just there's a block. Or certain letters. So your subconscious now has this memory. And what will happen is whenever you get in a situation where you might possibly need to say your name, for example, you feel, you have this sense that, uh-oh, I'm not going to be able to say it. There's this anticipation, right? This anxious anticipation or anticipatory fear that comes up and says, you're not going to be able to say this. You're going to block. You're going to stutter just like the last time, right? And so what happens when you need to say your name, all of a sudden, nothing comes out. And so people are very, very smart. And what they're able to do is they're able to figure out ways around it, not to get themselves in situations, or they figure out how to say their names, or sometimes they just get stuck and it's embarrassing for some people. So what we have to do is we have to retrain the subconscious mind. We have to create a new memory, a new self-concept. And if you've watched any of my videos, you've probably heard me talk about this self-concept, right? And we'll talk about this in another way a little later as we talk about proactive speaking. But what we have to do is we have to create a new self-concept for you saying your name, or whatever this word is, right? A new self-concept, that is a new belief about saying this particular word or this phrase. A new memory. We're going to be creating new connections, new neural connections that says, hey, I can say this word successfully, or I can say this phrase successfully. Does that make sense? Because there's an old one there, right? It's obviously there because the person's not able to say the word. So this old memory is there, this old pattern is there. What we have to do is we can't really eliminate that one or erase it. We have to create a new one. How do we create a new one? Well, the way we create this new pattern, this new habit, this new memory, this new self-concept, right, is we use drills, or we use something like drills. And there's a bunch of different ways, but really it comes down to this in a sense. We use drills, and that's why this is called the 15-minute speech drill for automaticity. It's for very specific things that you have to say. So let's jump right in. I hope that you'll be able to see this. Okay, it's called the 15-minute speech drill, right? It's very important. Drill for what? For automaticity. So let's talk about that for just a second, right? 15 minutes. I'll share with you why it's 15 minutes in just a second. It's a drill. What's a drill? A drill is something where you do certain actions repeatedly. You do certain actions over and over and over again. A drill could be related to, and often is related to, overlearning, right? When you drill, I'm going to drill this into your head. What we're talking about is we're going to keep doing this until you can do it without thinking about it, until you can do it, what? Automatically. Automaticity simply means reaching a place where it's automatic, right? Reaching a place where it's automatic, where it's second nature, where you don't have to think about it. So this is a drill to make something automatic where you no longer have to think about it. And drill is very important because what we're going to do is isolate these specific words or phrases, and we're going to say them so many times that you no longer have to think about it. Let me give you an example. When I would say, wow, 20 years ago now, I'm 46 at the recording of this video. I'm 45 actually, wow, making myself older. 45. But about 20 years ago, I'd say, I had a job around that time in my mid-20s or so. And I've talked about this before, where one of my first jobs out of college was working on the telephone, which I hated talking on the phone, because at that time, I still stuttered, and I still thought of myself as a stutterer. And so I had to go through this training, and we had scripts that we had to read, which was even worse. I mean, I could answer the phone, but now I had to say a script. So what I would do is I figured out a way for me to answer the phone. And I just added another word before my name, a word or two. Instead of saying whatever it was that they had to say, I would say, yes, hello, this is Michael Williams, thank you for calling, whatever. So I just simply added, yes, hello. And I practiced that and practiced it so many times. I practiced it in different ways. Yes, hello, this is Michael Williams. Yes, hello, this is Michael Williams. Yes, hello, this is Michael Williams. And what happened is I practiced it so much that it became automatic. It became second nature. I didn't even have to think about saying hello or yes, hello, right? So I drilled it into my subconscious. I drilled it into my memory where I no longer had to think about answering the phone. Does this make sense? Some people might say, well, you should just be able to say hello. Well, now I can say hello. But what happens is, now I want you to listen to this. What happens is, for some reason, if you're not able to say hello, and every time you try to say hello, the brain says, you're not going to be able to say that. Then what we have to do is we have to trick the brain, right? We have to do a drill that isolates this phrase, hello, and saying your name. And we have to do it in a different way than you normally would. Or else the brain, as soon as you try to do it the same way, sure, you might be able to practice it on your own by yourself and say it successfully. But when you actually get in the situation where you're a little anxious, a little stressed, the brain kicks in and says, you can't say that. So we have to create a new way of, in this example, answering the phone where the brain says, okay, this is new information, this is a new memory. So all we did is we added a couple of very appropriate, I mean, even now I say, this is Michael Williams, or I might say Michael Williams, right? Very appropriate in answering the phone. We just added a couple of words, yes, or actually one word, yes, hello. This is Michael Williams. Does that make sense? So the brain now, this is a new memory. We're not trying to do the same memory, doing something a little new. All right, so what we do then in this 15-minute speech drill for automaticity is we isolate something. For example, if you have to introduce yourself, you have to say, my name is, or you might say, Michael Williams. Say, what's your name? Michael Williams, right? So the person might think that they have to say Michael Williams, or whatever your name is. Well, you don't. You don't just have to say your name. You can take a short pause, and you can say, yes, my name is Michael Williams. I do it all the time. I've done it. It's very, very appropriate. You can come up with some other letter or some other word or phrase that you say before your name. It can be yes, it can be so, it can be anything that's appropriate. I've even said, and this is Michael Williams answering the phone. So whatever's appropriate, whatever sounds cool, it's your own style or your own stylish way of answering the phone. But here we're talking about introducing yourself. So you figure out something that you can say before you say your name. Why is this so important? Well, let's just drill saying my name. Yeah, it might work in the drills, but then when you have to say your name, what happens? The brain goes, you're trying to say your name again. That's not going to work. Bam, there's the block. So what do? What we do is we add a couple of words or a phrase before you say your name. My name is Michael Williams. Yes, my name is Michael Williams. And it can be real quick. It can even be soft. Yes, my name is Michael Williams, right? What you're doing is you're creating a new memory of how you introduce yourself, how you say your name. Now, I know some people are going to say, well, that's a trick and you should just be able to do it. And that's fine. You can go ahead and use that approach. What I'm sharing with you is something that I know works not just with myself, but also with my clients. And much of the things, or many of the things I'm going to be sharing with you in the future will be very specific strategies that I've used with clients, that I'm using with clients, and we are seeing results now, okay? So you can choose not to, or you can choose to try this out, because I know it works. So let's take a look then, more specifically at this 15-minute drill for speech automaticity. All right, first thing that you want to do is you want to take 5 minutes and you want to repeat whatever it is. It could be a phrase or a word. So I'm going to use my name. You're going to take 5 minutes and you're going to repeat your introduction. So let's just say your introduction is, my name is Michael Williams, right? You're going to take 5 minutes and just say that over and over and over again. 5 minutes. So you say, my name is Michael Williams. Yes, my name is Michael Williams. 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 You're going to keep saying it over and over and over again. That's why it's called a drill. Remember, if you've ever learned to play an instrument, or you've ever learned to do anything, one of the things you had to do is what? You had to repeat it over and over and over again, right? So in learning to say something as simple as our name, in some ways we have to go back to the basics and we have to repeat this word or phrase over and over and over again. Does that make sense? Someone says, well, I shouldn't have to do that. Well, you shouldn't have to, but we do, right? Certain things we have to go back and learn and create a foundation for. And one of those things may be introducing yourself. So you take 5 minutes and you repeat the phrase over and over and over again, as many times as you can. You have to necessarily do it fast. Just, my name is Michael Williams. My name is Michael Williams. And what's going to happen is, even after you stop, you're going to hear yourself saying, my name is Michael Williams, right? So you take 5 minutes and you repeat the phrase over and over and over again. What's the second thing you do? The second thing that we do is we take 5 minutes to imagine, 5 minutes to picture, imagine, if you will, think about. I'm using different words just so that you can kind of catch this. Or visualize, right? Visualize in 3D. You saying this phrase over and over again, because you've said it so many times now. Just take 5 more minutes to relax, because you're probably going to be tired from saying, my name is, right? So you just take 5 minutes to relax, and you just hear yourself saying it, and you you see yourself saying it in different situations. Introducing yourself, or you're in a meeting, everyone's going around the table. Yes, my name is whatever. Or hi, my name is, okay, you just see yourself and you just feel yourself doing it successfully. This is so very important. I know some people have a hard time visualizing, and sometimes what you can do is you can talk yourself into this visualization. You can say, I see myself actually sitting there and saying, so you use the words to create the pictures in your mind. Some of you can just see yourself doing it. So you see in your mind and you hear yourself actually doing it successfully. Now, this won't be that hard because you have said it so many different times. Even up here, you can pretend that you're actually introducing it. You can say it over and over and over again, right? But you really want to spend time visualizing, picturing, and imagining, thinking about it here. Makes sense. 5 minutes, 5 minutes. Number 3. What's the third thing that you do? You spend 5 minutes affirming using the 3P formula. And hopefully you've heard me talk about this 3P formula before, right? Hopefully you've heard me talk about this 3P formula. Spend 5 minutes affirming. It's very close to the visualization, but it's distinct. In that, what you're going to be doing now is you're going to be saying, I easily say my name all the time. I can easily say my name all the time. I say my name successfully all the time. I say my name smoothly every time. I say my name, Michael Williams, smoothly every time. I say my name smoothly every time. I say my name, Michael Williams, smoothly every time. So you come up with a statement using the 3P formula. What's the 3P formula? Somebody tell me. It's first person, present tense, positive. I, right, say my name smoothly all the time. Okay, first person, present tense. I say my name now smoothly all the time. Positive. First person, present tense, positive. Okay, 3P formula. Don't say I'd like to say my name. I don't want to stutter when I say my name. You have to create a statement that says that you're doing it now. Now, some of you may not feel comfortable because maybe you don't say your name soon. And so one of the things you can do is change the first person to second person. You can say, Michael, you say your name smoothly every time. You say your name smoothly every time, Michael. All right, so you can talk to yourself. That also works very. In fact, sometimes I use the second person, right? I use the second person instead of the first person, or I'll go back and forth. Does that make sense? So, 15-minute drill, 15-minute speech drill for automaticity. Let's briefly go over it again. 5 minutes, you isolate the phrase, the word or the phrase, if it's your name, if it's answering the phone, if it's the name of a product or something that you know you need to say. It's a part of your regular vocabulary, right? You need to say this. You know what it is. So you take a 15-minute speech drill and you repeat it over and over. 15-minute drill to picture, imagine, and think about it. You just sit back, you relax, you do something we call 7-7-7. You breathe in at the count of 7 through your nose, right? And you count to 7 as you're breathing in. You hold it for a count of 7. 1, 2, 3, 1 to 7. Then you release it through your mouth at a count of 7. You do that once or 3 times, and you just picture yourself in different situations saying whatever this is that you need to say effectively. The third 5-minute set, you spend affirming. That's telling yourself. How many times should you do this entire process, right? We need to do this at least 4 to 5 days per week. 4 to 5 days per week. How long? Until you're able to say it. Do it for 30 days if you need to. Do it for 90 days if you need to. Someone says, well, I did it for a week or I did it for a couple of days and it didn't work. Probably not. Has it been years that you haven't been able to say this? It might take you weeks, maybe even months before you're able to say it. Now, here's something that's important. Here's something that's important. I was going to write this down, but I'm running out of room, and I want to leave this up so that you can hopefully see it. You have to believe that this is going to work, because if you just say, okay, I'll give that a try, it's probably not going to work. I mean, you could believe anything could work and it can probably work, but you have to believe this is going to work. You have to have faith and confidence that this will work. And that's the reason I try to explain briefly how our brain works in terms of creating new neural connections, creating a new memory, developing a new habit, creating a new self-concept, right, in our subconscious. All of these things are different ways of describing essentially the same thing. That what you're going to be doing is creating a new pattern, a new memory of saying whatever this is, saying your name, saying this particular word, right? And so in order to do that, you have to do it repeatedly. You have to use repetition, but not just repetition necessarily saying that word, but you have to change it a little bit so that the brain is tricked, if you will. The brain doesn't say, oh, you're trying to say this, but we have a bad memory of that. No, you're trying to say this, and this is a little different than that, so we can do that. Makes sense. We can do this, but we can't do that. Now, what's going to happen is eventually when it becomes automatic, you'll probably be able to go back and say it without using those. Probably be able to say hello or Michael Williams, okay? Because now you've moved to a higher level of confidence that you can say what you need to say. You're no longer thinking about stuttering, no longer think about stuttering on that word or blocking. And so you reach a point where you can say whatever you want to say. But for now, this process will get you to a place where you can say those things you need to say. Once again, you have to believe that it's going to work, just like learning to say play a piano. You have to do those drills. It's very uncomfortable at first, but sooner or later, what happens? You're no longer thinking about it, and you can go to more advanced stages of learning. Okay, so you have to believe it's going to work. You have to do it, right? You have to do it at least 4 days a week, right? And you have to do it every day, 4 days a week, for as long as it takes. And then, finally, now watch this. This is very important. Any time that you're able to do it successfully, or even in part do it successfully, you have to give yourself credit. You have to be impressed with yourself. You say, wow, that time I was able to say this much of it, or that time I was able to get started. Maybe you didn't say it as smoothly as you liked, but you were able to do it a little better than before. You have to give yourself credit, and you have to recognize that it's working. Because if you believe it's working, then what? You're going to be more enthusiastic about it. You're going to be more motivated to do it. You're going to believe that it's working, and you're going to make it work. Remember, and you'll hear me say this in a lot of my videos, if you do the work, you'll see the results. If you do the work, you'll see the results. If you don't, you're not. Someone says, well, this doesn't work. I tried it once or twice, didn't do the work. Didn't do the work. If you do the work, you're going to choose, because this is how we learn. This is how we develop habits. It has to work. You have to believe that this has to work, right? So I hope that this has been helpful for you. I've used this drill to say things even in the last year or so where I no longer consider myself a person who stutters, but there are a couple of words or whatever that I still struggled with getting it out as smoothly as I'd like, and I used this drill or something very, very similar to it, and it worked in a very short period of time for me. It may take a little longer for you, but it does work. Thank you very much. Be looking out for some of my other videos, because I talked about proactive speaking, and I'm going to do some more videos where I go into that a little deeper and share with you a wonderful program that I have coming up very soon. Thank you very much. This is Michael Williams. I hope that this has been helpful, and I'll see you in the next video.